So I want to thank Jack for stepping up and doing a demo again. And he's kept it secret about what he's going to demonstrate, so we'll find out here in a little bit. But I'm sure it will be exciting. So Jack, take it away.
Everybody has to vote. How many people in here know how to turn a bead? Okay. How many people in here know how to turn a cove? How many people know how to make a V-cut? Okay. Everybody that raised your hand can do what I'm going to show you how to do tonight. So don't think it's hard. We're going to do a multi-axis candlestick. Okay. I turned this one a number of years ago. I turned that one recently. I turned this one. The difference, which, give me an overhead, please.
There you go.
The difference is, if you'll notice, if I get them lined up, they're similar, but the angles are a little bit different. And that's done because it's got a little bit different offset. Okay, and I'll go over that. So, we're going to try and duplicate this one tonight, so let me just pass. Yeah, let's pass that one. Take a look at it. So I'm going to do it, I'm going to explain it to you, and I'm going to do it in a way that you can successfully, hopefully, if I can succeed at it, you can do it where it's not dangerous for you. I started one of these a long time ago in one of the demonstrations, and it cracked on me and I stopped. And I didn't finish it. It was an all-day thing, so I had other things to do, and I was already behind, so it didn't matter to me. So I'm going to try and demonstrate to you how to do one that's not going to crack. There's basically two different ways to do multi-axis turn. This is a great book if you're interested. Most people that have seen me turn in the past know I don't turn spindles. The only spindles I turn are spindles like this, and I do it when I'm doing a demonstration on back to the basics, showing you how tools should be presented and used, and I do it when I practice, and yeah, I practice a little every now and then, okay? But to stand up here and turn a table leg, you need to see Don Penny. I find them extremely boring, so I don't turn them. And as a result,
clarify that.
No, if you want to know how to turn a great spindle, see Don Penny. Okay, I'm not the guy to talk to, but I do multi-axis turning because I find it challenging and interesting. So the first thing we're going to do is I got a piece of sweet gum here, which should turn fairly well. This is sweet gum, and we'll try and basically match this up as we go. And if we have enough time, we'll turn it into a candlestick. If not, you'll just see the middle part. Let's see how far I can get along. So we start off with it. It's already turned around. I'm going to true it up real quick. It doesn't have to be particularly true because you're going to turn it all over again. We'll get it started here. Anchor the tool, find the bevel, raise the handle until it starts to cut. Simple process. Same process I've been telling you about for 10 years. All right. We're going to offset this thing on the ends, and we want to do it so that as we turn it, these offset pieces are in the strongest orientation to each other. What that means is if they're offset this way and this way, you'll see see how it's turned this way? That means that this way is where the stress is going to be because it's leaning. You want to, in the beginning, you want to make sure that you have a line all the way down through the middle that you don't go through. Can you go through it? Yes, absolutely. You can put a piece out here and a piece out here and a piece out here. However, in the beginning, I don't recommend that. So, two ways this is done. The first way you can turn a multi-axis turning is you can do what's called parallel axes. That's where I would start here with this here, and at some point in time, I would move the whole thing either this way or this way. The problem with that in the beginning is the lathe wants to dance across the floor. The other way you do it is with intersecting axes. That's where I turn it this way and this way. Now you get a little vibration, but you don't get the vibration you do when you turn it the other way. So that's what we're going to explore tonight. Okay, so I've got it turned. Overhead. Thank you. You can see right there, that's where it's flat. That means the grain on this piece is running this way. That's the way I want to orient it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring that up there like that, put it in about the middle. I'm going to draw a line on it, right down through here like this. I'm going to take it out. I'm going to take a straight edge. I'm going to put my pencil right there in that mark right there. I'm going to put it right there on that line, and I'm going to draw a line. Flip it over, do the same thing on this side. Pencil in the middle to hold it. Straight edge, draw a line. Now I've got to offset that. I'm going to make this 3 different axes. I'm going to put 3 different points on this end and 3 different points on that end, which means I could have 9 axes moving it around. Okay, 3 times 3. You don't want to do that because at one point in time I thought it would be cool, and I did it, and what you end up with something that's really interesting, but it's very unattractive. You want to keep it really simple because simple actually looks better. So now, how far do we want to offset it? Well, this particular piece right here, I think got offset like 3/4 of an inch. So you don't have to come all the way out on the corner. Let's offset this one about 1 inch and see what we can end up with. The way I'm going to do that is a caliper. It's set at about 1 inch. I'll put it right in the center. I'm going to put a mark there. Spin it around. Put a mark there.
Jack, you're putting the mark on the line?
On the line, yes, on the line. Flip it over, same thing on this end.
And you said it's about 1 inch?
Yeah, I recommend the first one you do about a 1/2 inch.
Okay.
1/2 inch is a lot more, and before I'm done, I may wish I'd have done a 1/2 inch, we'll see.
3/4.
It's light up here.
Take the face mask off.
Sorry?
Face mask off. I can see what you're doing.
All right, so now I've got 3 points. But since I'm going to be changing this thing around, and it's going to be weaker and weaker and weaker as I turn it, I need to make sure that I take those 3 points. Well, first of all, let me label them so you can see what I'm doing. We'll put an A here for this one. We'll put a C for the center, and we'll put a B down here. Okay? A here, C, B. So now I've got A here, C here, B here. I'm going to be turning it with intersecting axes, so what I want to do is I'm going to start with A here, and B on this other end. You notice the type of drive I'm doing here? This is let me show it to you. This is a step center. Do not, do not use this. Absolutely do not use this.
Put
I can
that
promise
back,
you.
Jack, so we can see the end.
You want a camera?
Jasper.
Okay, a regular 4-pronged, any pronged drive spur. I can promise you, it will not hold it, and it's dangerous when it comes loose. Okay, you need to either use a step center like this that has little teeth in it, or a safety center, which is a center that doesn't have any teeth in it, so that when you get a catch, it'll give rather than kick it out. Okay?
Much better for this.
All right, we're going to go back here. We're going to go to A here. We're going to go to B here. I'm going to put some pressure on it. And I'm going to leave some marks in it. Because later I'm not going to be able to put pressure on it. Later it's just going to have to sit in there very, very lightly. Do the same thing here. Go to A. Go to B down here. All right. We're ready to get started. love to have new people right down here in the front.
Listen, I'm
And
trusting
plus,
you.
plus, he's young and his reflexes are probably quick.
We're gonna hope. I left the face shield at home.
That said, it is a good
Well,
time to check.
I didn't
all
bring
the
two, so I'm not loading you mine.
Titans.
All right, so let's take a look at what we did here. We've got a nice cove here, okay? So we're gonna put a nice cove somewhere on here. Pencil, 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 pencil. Somewhere we're gonna put a nice cove on here. Okay, I'm gonna say that it's gonna be somewhere like here to here. You need to, if you wanna make duplicates that are the same, I promise you, you're gonna have to do a story stick, and you're gonna have to do a story stick every time you cut it, because this part right here, this, where I went in right here, it started up here. Now it's gone. So you'd have to story stick it the first time, and then when you turned it and you cut the next groove, you'd have to make another stick, or come up with some way to do it. So somewhere between these two, but if you notice now that, if I can get this to work, it's gonna be something like this when I cut it, okay? We're gonna make the same cut we always do with a cutting instrument. This is one of those places where you're gonna learn to turn your piece before you turn your lathe on, because if you don't, what was your,
Chris.
Chris? Because if you don't, Chris will have to catch it. All right, so I've got my tool rest, and you notice I went to a shorter tool rest, because if I had a longer one, I'd have to be way out here. So the easiest thing for me to do now is to grab something. I'm gonna be cutting a lot of hair. It's easy to control. It's not gonna cause me a problem. I'm gonna carry my speed all the way back down, and I'm gonna bring it up. Notice the light's starting to shake just a little bit. I'm at 700 RPMs. That's not too bad. I'm gonna leave it right there. This is not something you do quick. Right now, there is actually no sting on the bevel because I'm cutting mostly air. So all I'm doing is anchoring my tool and introducing it to the wood slowly so that it don't get catch. Let me see if I can get it where you can see it better. See if this will stay up there. I'm watching this ghost outline. Can you see that better? Okay. I'm watching this ghost outline. I'm not looking where my tool is. I'm looking over here. Okay? You take little small cuts. After a while, I'll get the solid wood and I'll be able to take better cuts.
Jack, where you hit solid wood is where the ghost disappears, right?
I'm sorry?
When you actually hit all solid wood, that's where the ghost
Yeah,
disappears.
it'll disappear.
That's what looks solid.
If you'll notice, it's easier to see it here than it is to see it here, as it's getting smaller. You notice it's also an advantage to learn how to turn left-handed and right-handed. See, now, right here, I've got a bevel to ride. And I started getting my turning the groove smooth. When I get there, I can also start with the tool myself. And you come down and make this little cut, and you get right there, don't continue. Don't let that wing catch that hump of wood. If I continue on into there with that, and that wing grabs that big piece of wood, it's gonna get a catch. So you gotta stop and work little pieces of it at a time like this. I got a little bit there. And I'm just going to keep going with the toes until I have the diameter in the center about where I want it. In the beginning, you don't want to get too carried away and try and make it too thin. That's not too bad. That's going to radically change when we start making other cuts. You can see what's going to happen, the way it looks now compared to what it's going to look later. You can see that it's going to get much smaller in here. You're going to lose all this where that shadow is going to be gone. Now, before I go any further, what I'm going to do is I don't like the sand, so I'm going to try and get rid of all these tool marks. I just went from a bowl gouge to apparently a dual spindle gouge. It's got a nice shiny bevel on it, I don't know why. Maybe it's the tournament. I've changed from a bowl gouge. I started with bowl gouge because I'm less likely to get a catch. But right now, I've gone to a spindle gouge, and what you need to do when you present it is you need to find the bevel first. See that right there? You need to find the bevel, and then you need to work the tool until you start to see the tip of the tool pick up some shavings. Right there, see it? That's where you want to continue on with, right there. At some point in time, when I get to solid wood, it should quit bouncing.
You want a little sharpener?
I'm sorry?
You want a little sharpener?
I'm turning from to the low spot, and I'm going to try and get the two of them to meet. I'm doing one of the things that Matt told you about. I'm keeping my hands behind the tool rest. I want a nice intersection down there in the bottom. Let's take a look at it. Got one little line right there in the center. If you're gonna sand, now's the time to sand. And I'm not gonna do much sanding, but we'll sand this one little spot so you can see it. Keep your fingers out of the way of the rotating sides.
So that little intersection, you'd rather sand that than keep trying to go after it?
Yeah. I'm not gonna get it in here tonight. Keep it going after it. It's gonna be a moot point because if anything can get messed up, it always gets messed up when you do a demo.
Yeah.
All right. That particular part's done. So what's gonna be next? Well, I'm gonna do everything that's on that same axis. So that was on that axis. This next part is too. See where it runs? It's straight. Here's one axis here. Here's one axis here. Here's one over here. This one runs from here to here. If you're in the overhead. You're in the overhead. Okay. So here's the axis straight down through point C and C, here and here. See that one? Here's one here that's going from A to B or B to A, I don't know which yet. But this one here is here, here, here. All this piece from here to here is turned on the same axis. So I can go ahead and I can turn the next piece, or I can decide that I wanted to put that in the center, and it's almost in the center. If you'll notice when the piece is turning, you'll see right there you don't have any shadow in the middle. That's because that's where all three of those axes, or at least two of them, intersect. Okay? So we can go ahead and we can turn the next piece.
Do you draw a story stick or draw an example before you do your first one, or how do you get your design?
You play with it till you find something you like, or you see something you like, and take a picture of it. And if you take a picture of it, or you print it off the internet, and to show it to you at the right angle, you can take your ruler and just draw lines through the center points, and you can see what they've done.
Okay.
If you really want to know how to do it, get Barbara Jill's book here. I don't loan books anymore because they don't come back. And she'll tell you that she did this for 20 years and went back and she couldn't reproduce her stuff because she didn't write it down as she did it. And when she started looking at it, she didn't know how she did it. And I found that same problem. If you don't write down exactly how you produce it, 6 months from now, you're not going to be able to produce it again. So if you want to make multiple candlesticks, you need to make them right now and write it down. So you notice there in the center, I have more room to make this next part. So, let's see. I'm going to go back to my spindle gouge to rough this in. I'm going to take a look at it. I've got this part. I'm going to go to about right here, somewhere right there. Take it down. It'll give me an idea of where I want to go. I'm about 750 RPMs for those that want to know. This is going to be much easier here because I don't have nearly the ghost that I had before. I'm going to be through it pretty quick. wood, you know, whatever tool you like to do, use to remove wood, use that. All right. If you look right here, you see that little flat spot? You've got to keep going on this side until that flat spot's gone. Now I'm gonna leave it there right now because I'm gonna try and pick it up with a spindle gouge in a minute to remove it. That's gonna give me a nice clean cut that shouldn't need to be sanded. So I'm just gonna carry that right on down to my bead size. See if we can form a bead there. Come back out here, catch this outer edge. So let's get rid of this flat spot here. How many people saw me when I did a demo on Back to the Basics? Did you notice that I showed you exactly right then how you roll the side of a bead? Okay, this wasn't quite a V-cut, it's kind of a V-cut bead combination here. I've got to get a little bit more out of it. So I'm anchor my tool, I got my flutes straight up and down. Okay, they're straight up and down. If they're not straight up and down, it's going to tear one corner out. I'm coming in here at about 10 o'clock position. I'm trying to catch right on the edge of it. I'm just raising the handle, staying on the bevel, and letting the cut edge do what it does. And I end up pointing straight to the center. Just a little bit. One more time, maybe. Let me chip just a little bit. Try this one. Take a little off this one. This one on the same axis, I can go back and do this side too. Nice crisp line. Now all I got to do is make a bead in the center. Start up on top, find the bevel, start to cut, raise the handle and roll the tool so I end up vertical right there. On an anchor, on bevel, back the tool down as I start to cut, go through the cut, the tool rolls and the handle comes up. If you don't get that tool perfectly vertical when you go into that groove, the wing is going to give you a catch. Go to a little bit smaller tool here. A little smaller spindle gouge. Just a little bit better.
Why would you use a skew?
Hang on a second. What's your question?
Why would you use a skew? Nobody uses one.
Come on. I can use a skew on it. Do you want to see it? Do you want me to embarrass you and show you I can use a skew on it?
Only if
No, you
you're
don't.
gonna give him a catch.
Because that might be the end of the demo.
Yeah.
Okay, we got a little bit of shaping to do here. I left a tool mark in there I'd really like to get out. Let's see if I can get it out, or if this is going to be the end of the demonstration. Got on. Pull that off. Okay. So here's what we've got. We've got the cove, we've got the bead, we've got these two cuts. Okay, this is on a center line, this is on a center line. That is where the least amount of stress is put on the joint, so it's going to be the last thing I do.
Harold will do it with a skew.
Okay. Remember, turn everything by hand. And that's a long way off. Okay, all I'm going to do now in my next spot is I'm going to make, here we are, right here. I'm going to make a V-cut that's got a little swoop to it. I've got to make it long enough so that I don't leave any flats here and I end up there. So this is where you needed to have made some kind of story stick when you start, because now you're kind of totally lost as to where the top of this bead is going to be. I can kind of give you an idea where it's going to be. I can't tell you exactly because the whole thing gets smaller in diameter, which throws you off. So here we are here, okay? Here's the widest spot, right here. So somewhere up in here to here is going to be your V-cut. Okay, and I'll mark that, and we'll see how close it ends up being. Yeah. I can either have my pencil or lose my spot. It's going to be somewhere right about in here. Okay.
Couldn't you govern the bead rather than on the end? Wouldn't it just be matching the diameter of that angled piece?
I'm sorry?
Couldn't you just match the diagonal of the diameter of that sloped piece? If you were just to measure the cross-section diameter, that might be a way to get...
No, because what happens is then you end up with a flat spot on one of the pieces.
Okay.
So as I cut it, I'll show you that, okay? If you can see it now, you'll see that I've got a lot of shadow back here again, right here. See that? Where that one part is. Jason, you see how I've gone through here,
Yep,
right there? See the big flat spot?
right,
That flat spot's gonna determine where that bottom line ends. It's got to come out.
right.
So I've got to keep bringing that down until it goes away.
Right.
So I'll concentrate on that side and you'll see.
Have you moved the access yet, Jack?
Yes, I did.
So the first cut was the one access.
The first cut went from B here to A here. Now we're going from A here to B here.
I got you.
Okay? So I have moved it. You see how it's getting smaller? I'm also getting some chip out. I've also it's got to continue, Jason, till it cuts through this ring here. See, I haven't even reached that part yet.
Right.
So you'll notice it's still got a shadow in it. See it? Right there. I've got to go where there is no more shadow and there is no line on the top of that.
But once
We'll
you get
call
to
it a
that
bead.
point, then if you match the diameter, then wouldn't it be the same? I guess it wouldn't.
I don't know. Go home and turn it and you tell me.
Yeah,
Okay?
we'll talk later.
Take notes.
Yes.
At some point in time, I went down through here. This bolt gouge is not going to go down into this. All right, now I'm all the way through here. I still got a little bit of a flat spot. I'll try and take that out with a spindle gouge. I'll try and smooth this out so that we don't have to do much sanding. Just barely, just a little bit. Man, I did something I didn't want to do. I chipped it. I need to.
Design opportunity.
Yeah, but I didn't want a design opportunity.
Never did.
What I'm doing now is I'm anchoring my tool and I'm finding my bevel. I'm backing back out, just barely touching it. So I can start over again. And I got it out. as you're rotating this tool back and forth, and I'm in here like this, when you come back out, make sure you clear that tool completely out before you flip it over. I'm telling you from experience.
It will gray out. Just make it heavy coming all the way out.
Okay, let's take a look at that one. Yeah, needs to be cleaned up a little bit.
Way up here. Find that anchor, find that bevel. Come to the outside. Find that cutting edge, and use that into it.
So by the time you get done with this, are your nerves shot?
Mine aren't, yours might be.
Mine would be.
I'm thinking that guy with the orange t-shirt's got to be nervous.
He's low enough to sleep at this point.
Biggest thing is just remember to keep your hands behind the tool rest. Well, it's still got a little knot in it, but we're gonna move on. Okay, so we've got this, and this done. We've got the first V cut. This one's on center, and that one's on center. So guess what? All the hard stuff's done. We can put this back into centers. Remember, don't put too much pressure on it because none of that's lined up. We're going to come back and we're going to come to the bottom. We're going to put us a tenon on here because at some point in time we want to drill a hole. So let's see. I always lose tools. I'm going to use my measuring device. Draw the size for my tenon. I'm going to leave my mask off, folks, because the glasses are fogging up. And if you can't see, you can't turn. Got that. We're going to make one more V cut here for bottom, right there. Like a V cut there to there. Again, the top will be marked. We'll go to, we're totally remove our flat spots. Anybody see what I do on my pencil? I'm going to mark. It's going to start right there. That's the bottom of it. I'm going to lose this one too, Rita.
That's okay, I have another one.
Okay.
You can lose 3 more.
Oh, I can lose 3 more. I can probably up my speed now.
Yeah, your safety officer's not real happy about that.
Yeah, well, do you want me to be able to see?
I do.
Okay. Well, you know what I might do? Hang
It's
on.
at least not offset now.
You want me to give you, are those bifocals?
Let me see if these fog up.
I'll give you a safety pair, but they're not, they're just plain regular glasses with no help in it, other than fog coverage.
I'll manage.
All right.
Safety officer just has to keep her stuff together back there. All right.
You know I love you anyway.
Yeah, I know. And you'd love me if I was one-eyed.
Yeah, I will.
Get back into this shadow again here. Okay. That's what happens when that wing catches. You see that? I told you not to do that, didn't I? And I didn't listen. It ended up a little bit different than I wanted, but I didn't get a very good cut on that. And if you'll notice, that kind of tailed out on me, and I wanted it to roll this way. But I can't go any smaller because I'm not going to have anything left if I start taking stuff off the top. Well, maybe I can. Let's try it. Worst thing that happens is it blows up. It's going to be a tough sand here. I got a mark in it I need to get out.
If you used a skew, it probably wouldn't have so many marks.
That's true.
Because the piece wouldn't exist.
I like all you guys that are willing to come up here and do this, but want to tell me how to do it. And I don't have a problem with that.
Hey, sandpaper's a good.
John Penny might want to tell you what happened in Jacksonville. I called somebody out of the audience to come up and make them help me. Didn't I, was it?
Don.
Don.
I helped you make
Yep,
those threads.
That's right. Don helped me. All right, let's get the top shape. Top's going to be basically the same thing as we just did. Looks like we got just about the right amount of time.
I knew he'd make a good president.
It's a little torn grain there. See if I can get it out.
We'll move on.
All right. Let's give it a little shape here on the top.
That's kind of a
Off a big candle. Let's take it down some. I'd rather turn the 2 marks out than sand them out.
The sanding presents a problem for the tunnel.
That bumping you're seeing right there, pulling a little grain there, is because I'm a little bit too hard on the bevel. And once it starts bumping it, it's kind of like going down a rutted road. If you go too fast, it just keeps getting worse.
So the way to do that is get a nice sharp tool, get off the bevel, or very lightly on the bevel, and turn it back out. You notice that tool is not bouncing at all now. Even though I'm going through the worst part of it right there. I don't even know what their paper is. Still don't know.
You guys have questions while I'm making it pretty from where I made it ugly? I can't hear you, Harold.
What was your progression of offsets? I know you started off A, B,
Didn't matter, I just went from corner to corner, opposite.
stopped
I had a center, and I had two that are the same, and I just went catty corner, and then I went to the other catty corner.
And you said only to do 2.
Well, you know, if you start off complicated,
Yeah.
and you mess it up, and you get discouraged, and you don't do it again, you haven't done anything. Make it simple, keep it simple, and, you know, get something that's successful. It's kind of like, you know, when I was talking to you about threading, you don't start threading wood, because that wood's a problem and threading's a problem. You take one problem at a time.
Okay, here's your skew. Okay?
Are you happy? All right. We're almost there.
So prior to changing the axis, you would take it up to your finish sand at each?
Each time you, before you change axis, if you're gonna sand, you gotta sand them. Because once you change it now, you can't go back. You've got them perfectly defined, they're still there. You can put it right back in the center and you could go back and,
Once you put the tendon on now.
well, you know, I still have holes. But I would recommend, yeah, that you sand as you go. That's the easiest way to do it.
Thank you.
That way, when you get almost finished and you mess it up, you've had a lot of practice sanding. I don't normally center something back up with a tailstock. I'd rather get it fitting tight into the chuck, but in this case, since I want to drill a hole in it, and I also want to take the torn grain out of the top back up here, and I didn't do a very good job, but we're gonna let it go. I want to get all the marks from my old centers out of the way. Now, I only bought one drill bit, so that's the hole that's gonna be in the middle. Normally I'd have drill bits and I decide what size I want. Because candles come in all different sizes. I made some candle holders for a lady one time, and she had 5-inch candles. And the candle holders were like 4 feet tall. And she paid for them, and I was happy, and she was happy.
And if the candle's the wrong size, you could turn it to the right size.
Very good. You notice we have a little technical difficulty there. Still have a little technical difficulty.
Is this wobbled because it's...
It didn't catch the center correctly. So what I'm going to try and do here is very gently just take the center out of it. Let's zoom back up. Okay, we'll see if that fixes it. Almost done. Now what we got to do is take the tenon off the bottom. Questions?
Did you make that just so you didn't have to use like reset spigot jaws to hold it in?
Yeah, there's nothing to grab. I mean, I could put some pin jaws or something in it. But jam chucking something is going to be one of the most valuable things you're ever going to learn. So you might as well learn it young and early, because it's going to come in handy.
I like that because I've cracked too many of my little handles with
Yep.
my spigot jaws.
Now that probably gave me a bunch of torn grain. Well, actually it's not too bad. Almost lost it. Let's see how close we came.
Pretty good.
Not too bad. Questions? You should try it. It's-
Question, when you're using the drilled chuck, do you ever have it turning? Does it turn sometimes? And there's basically mine doesn't.
In here,
Yeah.
you don't have it. I would check for dust in my quill or some rust in it or something that's not letting it seat properly. Okay, or if it's a really cheap chuck, I check to make sure that I had a good horse to taper and it wasn't turned off. But no, it should not spin. If anything spins, the bit should spin in the chuck. And yeah, I tore a bunch of bits up when it just didn't hold it. Because all my chucks are hand tight, so you don't get your legs tight. Other questions?
Does this work better with hardwood? Harder
You
wood?
want a wood that's not going to split. That's fairly soft, and I've done it with maple, which is fairly soft, and I've done it with pecan. I would stay away from oak, stuff that wants to split easy, because when you start offsetting it and it starts getting, it's when they'll split on you. And if you get them really, can you give me an overhead?
Yeah, that's a good tip.
You see how offset these are? You see, that's not in the center anymore. So they'll crack right down through there, or they'll crack right down. See that where that one's there is the center and that one's the center. So there's no center line in it. The one I turned you tonight has a center line all the way through it, because that's where you need to start before you go here. Okay? And so as long as you have a wood that it's not checking or splitting, and is a fairly consistent wood, you'll be okay. Doesn't really matter. Some wood's easier to get a nice finish on. That's not something you want to sand a lot, because everything is off-centered, and sanding it all has to be done by hand. So you want to make a good cut on it. So use a wood that makes you look good. Okay? Yes, sir.
What was the name of that drive you used?
That's a step center. Okay? It's an overhead. It's just a regular. It's got little teeth in it. They come in all different sizes. I've got ones really small. I got ones a little bit bigger than this. You can use this, or you can use what's called a safety drive. It doesn't have any teeth at all. It's just smooth. You want to stay away from something that has big teeth on it. Because what happens is, when you get it like this, and only part of those teeth, see it right there in the overhead, see how, where it goes in right there? Only part of those teeth actually grab because it's off-centered. And I should have showed you that that's the reason you set it in first, okay? So it's already, you've only got half of it in there. So if you take a square center like this and you stick it in there and you get 2 teeth in it, it's not gonna hold it. As soon as you get a little bit of catch, it's gonna tear it out and it's gonna send it flying. I didn't do it tonight, but a lot of times when I'm turning these is I'll get a little catch and it'll spin. The wood will actually stop and the drive will still be spinning. And I'll just stop and go, eek, and I'm going again. But if I had a 4-prong drive center, it would knock it out and tear it up and probably scare you. So. Other questions?
Are there times when a 4?
Hold on, Frank?
So if you go to start, the diameter you used, if I go to half the diameter, is it easier?
No.
Or does it make it difficult?
No, because what happens when you go to half the diameter is you don't get much offset. So what you want to do if you want to do something smaller is you start with that same diameter and you leave the ends big and you turn the center smaller. And you turn the center, then you turn the 2 ends off. You just look at them as waste, okay? And I almost did that because I had a tenon on one end and I could have shortened it up. I don't know where it went, but I could have shortened up the top of it. So, you know, I could have made it a lot smaller in diameter. But if you're talking about I want to use a 1.5 inch square piece, yeah, you're not going to have much effect with it. But here's the piece I practiced on. You know, and you can see I got something out of it. So it was one of my little practice pieces. So yeah, if you want to start there and figure out what you're doing, that's okay too.
Marching soldiers.
Mike.
Are there situations in which the 4 have a point, I guess, taper is better than your stem?
Not on this, no.
Because you could do it real small.
If you're turning wet wood, green wood, yeah. If you're turning green wood where you need it to bury in and hold, absolutely.
Okay.
But you're not going to do it here. You're going to do that when you're roughing a blank of some kind, or if you're turning green wood. Like if I've got a bold blank up here and I'm squaring it up, yeah, 4-prong center's fine.
Because I know when I'm using cedar, red cedar to make candlesticks,
Yeah.
with a 4-point prong or 4-prong center on it, like you said, if it catches it, just
Tears it out.
Yeah.
And cedar's really, really soft. I don't turn cedar because it's so soft. I was really finessing this, but if I was turning that at home, I'd have turned it twice as fast and twice as aggressive because I wouldn't care whether Chris was there or not. Okay? But I didn't want, the guy's, it's his first time here, I didn't want him to have to eat this piece of wood. That really looks bad for a club.
I knew I was going to splash them.
So, yeah. Other questions? Yeah.
I did one of those, and I used the hardwood, and it was too aggressive, and it got a catch right here.
Yeah.
Two black guys. So you got to be careful and be slow like you were doing.
Always a face.
Well, I've gone really radical before where it's not lined up and I've broken them. Okay, hadn't really had a catch, just too much pressure on it to break them. That's the reason. Keep a center point all the way down through it to start. And then go radical if you want to later, once you learn how. Okay? Anything else? Matt, you got anything?
Thank you.
Help clean up.